love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavill, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We have AD Drew getting a little reprieve from a Thursday. Don't get too used to it. They're going to pull him back in. They're going to pull him back in, but we're going to take him while we got him. With that being said, welcome to episode 769 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab and Radio Show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. From large institutions to small institutions, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share information on the HBCU sports culture, business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, who's out on assignment, and Charles Bishop. As we said, we have our good dear friend, AD Drew. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, if you would. That is Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Well, I told you about the Wi-Fi they were dealing with, and then we had a little building update for they in college education in terms of making sure that the restrooms were active. And so they're working on that.
That's important.
Everything's prepared. But, you know, we had to travail right across the Tiger Walk to the students, and I have a lot of beautiful African-American sisters that work in both staff and the faculty, and you know how they feel about cleanliness, and sometimes they help us to make sure that they let me know that, Cavill, you got to work with us, and I was trying to manage and not just look like the male chauvinist out there, like, oh, don't worry about that, put some spit on it, put some dirt on it, get some hand sanitizer, you'll be all right. It's like you're not talking to Deuce. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You got to be a little better than that. But we figured it out and made it through it, and that's what we do oftentimes to get the work done. It is our first week of school, so it was tremendous to see the students back prepared, and we want to be front facing for our students and not to interrupt them. So thankfully to the faculty out there that's making it work, as well as the staff for that matter. With that being said, Charles Bishop, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. I want to send a shout out to the lovely ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha on their Founders Day today. So, especially my wife. So,
yeah, you better put that one in there. You better add that part. I send my kudos out. Yes, but Founders Day means a little different, a little more special in the household of Charles Bishop.
Yeah, it better. It's got to be. She's out Founders Daying somewhere. So.
I like that, Founders Day. Add that one to the lexicon. AD Drew, how about yourself?
Wow, I have nobody in my household to celebrate Founders Day. If we're talking about celebrating something, I'm going to celebrate my 5 victories by my men's basketball team this calendar year. So 5 in a row, 7 of our last 10, and first place in the SIAC East Division.
You'll take it every day of the week.
And on Sundays.
Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. For those that don't know, THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, let's get a little bit in the news of the day for this first segment. I'm going to start back with you, AD Drew. What's on your mind? You kind of teased one out and gave us a little hindsight, but what other news has you excited for the day?
Well, I'm going to take a little bit moment of personal privilege and gloat on my institution where I work at, and some of the hard work I have put in, and some of the hard work that the people who are on my team have put in. And just by happen chance, I discovered this week that the Maroon Tiger Sports Network, which I kind of managed, helped start it, uh, was the number one rated, number one most streamed sports network on the SIAC network. So more fans who watch SIAC sports watch Maroon Tiger Athletics than on any other institution site. Then, to top it off, we pulled our numbers from our engagements, and we had 9.1 million views on our Instagram and Facebook platforms and for 2025. This is the year when you get all the final data from the previous years this time of the year. So I just want to gloat about that, and just want to take a moment and shout out a couple of people who helped get that along the way, starting off with Roy here from the Black College Sports Network, who a lot of the equipment that we started off with was either his equipment or my personal equipment. People like Charles Bishop, who's called games for us, Wilton Jackson, Simone Stanley, who I keep telling everybody is the next Tiffany Green, Slide, Jamie Walker, Keisha Kelly, Rick Polk, Charles Ward. Those just the names that y'all know, but a ton of students there on campus who putting on a production that is equivalent to what you get at some of the four-letter networks. Professor Imani Saucer from the journalism department, who came over and started started working with the students for us. They learned the theory in his classroom, so that BT Harvey Stadium and Forbes Arena became the lab for them to practice all this stuff. So my athletic director, Harold Ellis, who believed in the vision, one of the things when we had the conversation about coming over there was we want the brand to grow. Well, this is showing that we are growing the brand. So just a lot of people. I just want to take time publicly and thank Brian Fulford. Also, we heard him on that great call a couple of weeks ago when we did our top 10 moments from 2025. So just a whole Kim Wright, just a whole ton of people. Ja, who's helped us out, ton of people. I just want to thank y'all for putting this out there. But we did not set out to be number one, but we take trophies when we can get them. Everybody,
there you go.
No doubt about it.
Sorry, I was a little.
No, it was good information. It was important to get that out there in terms of particularly how you did it. Recognize that a lot of folks that put you in a position to be successful, and bragging on our institutions is nothing that we need to be subtle about. So yeah, amazing numbers, and congratulations to you and your team, including Morehouse, in terms of getting it done, especially the men's basketball program in terms of 5-game win streak. Certainly doesn't hurt. So shout out to the coaches.
It helps viewership when you win it.
Exactly. Exactly. The fact that they're getting it done with those W's certainly helps all parts of that. Let me go to you, Charles, and get some updates from you. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, let's take a look at this as HBCU legends. They get the call from the Black College Hall of Fame. So shout out goes out to some great players as well as a contributor as the Black College Hall of Fame this afternoon. They named their class of 2026, which includes former Florida A&M coach Rudy Hubbard, Tyrone Poole from Fort Valley State, current Alabama State head coach Eddie Robinson Jr., Nick Collins from Bethune-Cookman, and Jimmy Smith from Jackson State. They all got the call, as well as Steve Weiss, representing Howard as a contributor. So kudos to all of those gentlemen who got the call from the Black College Football Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. Great move from the Black College Football Hall of Fame. Tremendous class. It amazes you when you talk about these years and how every time they come up with the class, you have superlative names, treasure troves, and oftentimes it brings you back great memories of stories that you read, visuals that you may have seen, and oftentimes people that you have met over the years. So very special. Congratulations are appropriate in terms of the Black College Hall of Fame. Going back to you, Drew, give you a chance to get a little more off in terms of some news that you want to share with the people.
Well, let's talk about. I don't think we talked about this, but let's talk about giving back, Dr. Cavill, and let's talk about specifically Alcorn State and Donald Driver. You know, Donald Driver. Alcorn State Athletic Department now is an all-inclusive partnership with Driven Elite, founded by alum and Super Bowl champion Donald Driver. The collaboration launches January 20th, 2026 as part of Driven Elite's National New Year New Kickoff initiative. More than a ceremonial return, the partnership introduces a long-term programming focused on athletic development, mental health, and wellness. For this HBCU program, the goal is sustainability. Let me say that word again. Sustainability. I just want to make sure I didn't stumble over that word, and not symbolism. Driven Elite will provide customized program for both men and women student athletes at Alcorn. The approach addresses performance, mindset, and personal growth together. So
good stuff. Good comments. Perfectly said. Let me go back to you, Charles, and see if you have some other news that you want to share. Today.
Let's look at some conference basketball weekly awards from this past week. As a SWAC, they tabbed Jackson State's Deshaun Ruffin, Florida A&M's Micah Octave, and Prairie View's Corey Wells as SWAC Men's weekly award winners. Let's take a look at Deshaun Ruffin as he averaged 37.5 points, 7.5 assists in 2 road games this past week. Also finished with 6 rebounds and 2 assists while shooting 44% from the floor with a pair of 3-pointers. Impact Player of the Week was Michael Octave. He averaged 16 points and 8 rebounds while logging 35 minutes this past week. He shot an impressive 55% from the floor as well as 53% from behind the arc. And the newcomer of the week is Corey Wells from Prairie View A&M. He averaged 17.5 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists over 2 contests while playing 38 minutes per game. He shot 37% from the field as well as hitting half of his 3-pointers, hitting 50% from behind the arc and 75% from behind the 3-point line. From behind the free throw line. So those are your SWAC weekly award winners for this past week.
Wait, you said
SWAC award winners. Go ahead, AD.
You said those players graduated from which institutions, Charles?
You got Jackson State, Florida A&M, and Prairie View.
And the 3 people on this panel right now are associated with what 3 institutions?
Jackson State, Florida A&M, and Prairie View. Looks like that.
I just wanted everybody to realize that, it ain't too often that we get one from each of our institutions as weekly award winners. While the 3 of us are on the screen.
Good catch. I'm not sure. Usually I catch those little things. I didn't catch it. I'm glad you brought it to my attention. I can see Charles over there smiling like a Chesterfield cat. So he caught it with that, but he was being nice. AD Drew is like, hell with that. Let's just tell the story. As we always do. With that being said, let me give you an update some scores out there before we take our first break. Let's go to the MEAC first. MEAC, you have Mid-Eastern. Maryland Eastern Shore, I should say, versus Coppin State, and they're up 35-27 with 7:26 in the third quarter. The Hawks continue to get it done. Impressive in terms of what they've done thus far on the year. Told you a little bit about where they sit, which is in the top 5. Let's go into the SWAC, give you some scores there as games have got a couple of games. 3 of the 4 have gotten started. We have Bethune-Cookman at Arkansas Pine Bluff. Close game here, 28-27 with 3:42 left as the Wildcats are leading on the road early in that contest as they close out the first half. Yeah, Prairie View is looking to see if they can get their first win. Well, it's early, but they are behind. It is Prairie View 2, Alcorn State Braves 6, 5:25 left in the first quarter. Then you have Texas Southern Jackson. This is a key matchup a lot of folks talked about. Keep your eyes on Texas Southern. The Tigers of Texas Southern lead the Tigers of Jackson State 6-2, but it is extremely early in that matchup with 6:28 left in that game. FAMU at Valley, it tips off at 7. And so we have a little more in store for you there. I'll give you one insight. I think the OVC, Tennessee State, see if they're have a game tonight. I know they're Saturday, and they are playing now. That game has gone final. Tennessee State gets a big win over Morehead State, 70-62 on the women's side. Congratulations to the Tigers up there at Tennessee State as they have gotten a win in conference play today. With that, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. It's time to look at the poll rankings and see what these gentlemen say about the top 5 in the mid-major for week number 2. We'll be right back after this first break.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
To these colleges, and we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
Now, what about HBCUs? You mentioned
absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot. Right. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. CAVIL'S Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we have none other than A.D. Drew in the building. With that being said, I just wanted to say, Charles Bishop, AD Drew, I see that the College Watchdog CSC got your reports of what you were seeking to do to support your college athletes. And it's my understanding that you are one of the 500 Knicks plus NIL deals that were Knicks this past year. So yeah, you got to get your weight up. Come out. I'll tell you how to get it done. Stay under the $600 threshold. Yeah. Y'all got all this big time money. Y'all trying to, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. All that big money you got in your pocket there. Share some love. Share some love. Let's get into the top 5 mid-major division for the men and see what's going on in week 2. You see AD Drew was quiet. He don't share no money. He said, what my deal? Dropping out this week is Xavier Rush. They lost a couple of games, so they fall to 9-5 overall and 6-3 in conference play. They were right at the top. Now they've slid back a couple of spots, but they got time. We'll see what that looks like in terms of conference play, but this pushes them outside of the top 5. In fact, when you look at receiving votes, it pushes all the way to the last team receiving votes in terms of week number 2. But before we get to them, we have Clark Atlanta Panthers that sit at 10-4, 7-3 with 31 points. Philander Smith Panthers at 13-2 that are 6-0 with 24 points. Virginia State Trojans sit at 10-8, 32. And you have Shaw Bears 11-4, 2-4. Xavier Rush sit at 9-5, 6-3. When you have a team 6-0 in the conference race, but outside the top 5, let's see what the top 5 brings to you. Florida Memorial Alliance 12-6, 4-2. They were not ranked, so they jump into the top 5 with 36 points. Let's get into number 4. Number 4, the Miles Golden Bears sit at 9-2. Should be 12-2, 10-2 overall, 48 points, previous ranked 5. So they do slide up a spot as they've got a couple of big wins this past weekend in terms of what they were able to do. Let's get into number 3, Virginia Union Panthers. A move up in terms of what that looks like. They sit at 4-2, 4-1. 2 first place votes of what they gain as they continue to sneak up the poll rankings in weeks. They actually dropped 1 this week as they are moving back and forth. But they sit at 4-1 in conference play out of the CIAA. 2 first place votes, 55 points, which brings to us number 2. This might be a surprise to some. Number 2 is actually Langston Lions. They sit at 13-3, 8-2. They had a tough loss. They split over the week. They still have 3 first place votes, but they do fall out of the top spot. 65 points. So let's see who goes into number 1. Tuskegee Golden Tigers that we teased about a little bit earlier. They're actually number 1 in week number 2, sitting at 11-3, 10-1, one of the hottest teams out there playing right now at HBCU Sports. They earned 4 first place votes, just edging out Langston to sneak in that number 1 spot. Previously ranked 4, and they jump all the way to number 1 in week number 2, 77 points. Be interesting to see what people think. Particularly AD Drew, he likes to put in some additional metrics. Let's see what AD Drew has on his metric window this week based on top 5 week-to-week poll, but let's see what Drew has to say.
First of all, I'm going to start off with the team that's receiving votes. And although it may be legitimate, I really wish Clark Atlanta was sitting in the top 5, Dr. Cavill. So that
that's cool for you. That way, with that matchup, I like where you're going.
So that when the Maroon Tigers go in and beat Clark Atlanta on their home court on Saturday,
so top 5 win.
It's top 5 win. Exactly. You knew exactly where I was going with that. So I'm a little bit disappointed that now I'm not going to tell you who to take out. Just put them in. I don't care who you take out. Just put them in. You know, I know what the rule says, Dr. Cavill, but we're going to make the exceptions to the rule on this one.
I like it. We're going to make some updates today.
Let's talk about number 1 and number 4, Dr. Cavill, who also happened to play this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah.
Miles, number 1 in scoring margin in the SIAC, 7.7 per game. Tuskegee, number 2 in scoring margin per game at 5.9. 8. Now, I'm gonna warn y'all. Neither one of these teams will blow the other team out. This will be a one possession last shot. Can somebody lock somebody down, or can somebody get the move to the hole and everything like that? I am going to tell you, and the two best big men in the SIAC, and I can say this, considering that we have faced both these teams this year, but Cameron Jernigan and Draper from Tuskegee, hands down, top 2 post players in the SIAC. Virginia Union, Dr. Cavill, I mean, legacy program, blue blood when it comes to HBCU basketball or the Division II level, CIAA. Langston has reestablished themselves. If Virginia Union is a new blood over the past few years, Langston has become the new blood, especially up under Coach Chris Wright, along with Florida Warriors. So, Dr. Cavill, outside of your top 5 should include 6. I have no problem with these 5 up here, though.
I love your rationale, and that's what we want to do. Other SIDs really understanding, not only do you sell the matchup or the rivalry, whenever possible, you want to sell rankings in terms of those matchups. So I'm really glad to see that you saw that. Man, you make me go look back at the numbers and see if somebody missed a vote or something. Did they get the vote in late? See what it looks like. But with that being said, let me go to Charles and see what his thoughts are on the top 5. We do get the 1 versus 4 matchup, and you pointed that out. Great job,
well, actually, I wanted to go back to the 1 versus 4 matchup because the first thing I sprinted to was the margin of victory with both teams. Miles and Tuskegee sit there 1 and 2. But I wanted to ask AD, where does the offense come from? Seeing as how both defenses are top 5 in the SIAC.
Well, I will say this, and let me pull up the stat to make sure that I'm correct on this. Where we go, team stats on this when I'm saying this. Team field goal, free throw percentage. Miles, number 2 free throw shooting team in the conference, shooting 76%. There, Charles. So that's that's like a wild stat. 76% from free throw percent. Miles, top shooting field goal percentage, but not only is Miles number 1 in the conference in offensive field goal shooting 46.6%, they are also number 2 defensively at 38.7%. So, on paper, Miles has the advantage, but God dog, this Tuskegee team being able to feed the ball into the post, don't, if you let Draper catch the ball within 10 feet, automatic bucket might be an and one to you. The man can carry the team by himself. So Tuskegee, excellent guard play is what keeps them in the ball game, and their ability to create turnovers. They just flip a switch on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same raucous atmosphere this weekend, huh?
Oh my God, Anderson Fairfield in that little Cracker Jack box gym called Charles, the Knox Wyndham Gymnasium. You been there, Charles?
Yeah.
So oh my God, this must be the Cracker Jack box weekend on the schedule, because Clark Atlanta's playing in their Cracker Jack box gymnasium, and same thing with Miles. So, if you're not there at the game 2 hours early, you might not get into either one of these games.
It's a good game when the security got to keep people off the floor. I love that.
Right.
They do the club thing, Charles.
I got to find a way to get down to both of those Jim's bucket list. I have to do that.
Yeah, they do the club thing for this game. When you go to the club, when 2 come out, 2 can go in.
Yeah,
that's this game. That's those 2 games.
Yeah.
If folks wait around for it too, is that important? Let me give you an update before we take our second break. Come back on the other side and talk about the major division in week number 2. But as we do that, starting in the SWAC, we have Bethune-Cookman at Arkansas Pine Bluff, 33-31. The Wildcats are leading at halftime. We have Texas Southern over Jackson State, slim margin, 12-10, end of the first quarter. We have Prairie View on the road at Alcorn State. The Braves are teaching the Panthers what it means to come into the reservation, as they are up 18-9 with 7:11 left in the second quarter. Let's go into that one matchup into the MEAC. Let's see if we can get an update for you there. Maryland Eastern Shore continues to lead. They are hosting Coppin State. The Hawks over the Eagles 39-35 with 1:31 left in the third quarter. Let's take our second break and come back on the other side to talk about the major division, I should say.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta CAVIL'S of Dr. CAVIL'S Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. CAVIL'S Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2026? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 30th to February 1st, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew, talking a little bit about HBCU sports basketball style on the hardwood. We just finished with the mid-major top five and some key matchups that you would not want to miss. You have the ability and the time, particularly if you're in Birmingham or Atlanta, although that may not be your alma mater, get there early. But if you want to treasure to see some really good basketball, certainly entertaining and a great atmosphere, we certainly would recommend both of those games. With that being said, let's turn the page and get to the major division and see what it looks like there. Dropping out, we had a lot of churning, as we like to say, Charles. You know, I like to use that word in terms of conference. Well, in terms of the post, guess what? We were churning as well. Several teams jumped outside of the top 5. Tough week in terms of what's going on, but it should keep things interesting. Wait until you see who's at number 1 in terms of what this poll ranking looks like. Well, let's first start with the teams that fell out of the top 5 this week. Quadruple, if you would. We have Hampton Pirates sitting at 2-3 in terms of conference play. They had a really tough week. Alabama A&M Bulldogs fall out of the poll. Grambling State Tigers take a tough road trip to Florida, and it was not kind, even with the coach coming home to where he got a chance to be the head coach at Division I Florida A&M Rattlers. Tennessee State Tigers, although they are playing well, they had an unexpected loss. I believe they'll find their way back in the top 5, but they did fall out this week. With that being said, let's see what teams receiving votes, and see what that looks like. FAMU, with a big weekend, they climbed all the way up to receiving votes, just outside of the top 5. In fact, sitting at 2-1 now, 42 points. Then you have Tennessee State Tigers that just talked about dropping out. They're right there in the mix at 4-2, 38 points. Alabama A&M Bulldogs are not too far behind, 2-2 on the season, 29 points, as well as the Grambling State Tigers sit also at 2-2 with 26 points. And the Southern Jaguars, probably the surprise of a lot of them, sit at 2-2 with 21 points. I wouldn't be surprised if any of these 5 teams at the end of the season are in the top 5. But what does that mean for these new top 5 that are in here now? Will they be able to remain in the top 5? Should they be in the top 5? We'll ask Charles and AD just that. But before we do that, let me unveil it to everybody. Starting at number 5, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats sit at 2-1. They do fall 2 spots, but they find a way to stay in the top 5. They do hold on to a first place vote. It's 61 people. Somebody still believes in the Wildcats, even though they had a loss this past week. Let's move on to number 4. This is where you'll see this NR quite a bit. Starting with number 4. UAPB, that means not ranked for those that hadn't followed us before. The Golden Lions, surprising a lot of folks, 3-1. They started off 3-0. Took one matchup that a lot of people want to see with Prairie View.
Yeah.
While it was exciting, Prairie View really took care of business in terms of that game, even with one of their star players out. 76 points were not ranked, but it was still enough for the Golden Lions to jump into the top 4 based on what other teams did and what they did. Splitting on the road in Texas. At number 3, Prairie View and them Panthers. They were not ranked. They continue to show that they are serious. 3-1, 2 first place votes, 85 points. They were not ranked last week, but they are in at number 3. Moving on up the polls, we continue to see this non-ranked. This time it's in the MEAC. Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks sit at 3-0. 2 first place votes, 101 points, as they were not ranked. I think you all get the refrain. Number 1 that was not ranked all the way into the top 5, and they do it in fine fashion as they sit at number 1. North Carolina Central Eagles. Coach Moulton has got the Eagles flying. They are set at 3-0, 4 first place votes, 104 points. Take it away, Charles. What do you think about the top 5 programs?
Yeah, I can't argue. North Carolina Central and Maryland Eastern Shore. I think Maryland Eastern Shore surprised everybody but AD Drew, in terms of what they've been able to do thus far. Pay attention to the number 3 and number 4 because I think both of those teams, they're going to be knocking on number 1 at some point. Got an opportunity to see UAPB up close this past week. They have a solid basketball team, especially when you talk about young man who's almost a double threat, Keon Williams, young man who's like in the top 3 in scoring, in the SWAC, top 2 in rebounding, but a real combo guard type guy. And they got another young man, Jaquan Scott, who does a lot of work on the inside, but they have a very, very solid basketball team. I'm really looking forward to the matchup this weekend, especially when you talk about the top two scorers in the SWAC, and Terry and Joseph and Deshaun Ruffin. So very, very big trip coming up, I think, for the Texas team going to Jackson State and Alcorn this weekend. Should be a lot of fun. But I think I think this top five is about right on point.
I like that. Appreciate you, Charles. Let's see what AD Drew has to say about the top five.
Raise your hand if you had UAPB top five, tied for first in the SWAC, and had Texas Southern tied for last in the SWAC at this point in time. And say, raise your hand if that's what you had back in September.
You see, I'm looking the other way. See,
I did not think
anybody back there raising their hand.
I agree with everything Charles just said. Bethune-Cookman coming in on paper, probably one of the most talented teams on paper coming into this season. Grambling not being there, despite what we saw in the non-conference season, is a little bit shocking for everybody. But they do have the win over Prairie View, so which means that they are top five worthy if we saying Prairie View's top five team. So what does this mean? What I find interesting, though, Dr. Cavill, there are two teams currently right now, one in the SWAC, one in the MEAC. Howard in the SWAC, 10-8 overall, and Alabama A&M, 9-8 overall. The only two teams on this level who are above water, i.e. over 500, and both those teams are 500 and below in the conference. What is that saying about our non-conference schedule? Is our non-conference schedule preparing us? We do good. We play our little sisters of the poors and a bunch of D2s and NAIAs in the non-conference season. Does that really prep these teams for conference play? Or these teams that went out and got all these check games actually are doing good this year? So they brought in the money and they're starting off hot. So it affects the psyche and the mental health of the players for going out and getting out of the check game. Is that difference being disproven, at least in the early action, Dr. Cavill and Charles?
I like the point you make. Over the years, I've tried to keep up with that trend. And I think what's fascinating, as you said, this year, and what I've noticed, it is oftentimes a year to year. You have some years where teams that play and get confidence seem to be able to pull that into the league, and they do really well in the league. Now, I've seen other years where it doesn't work, or the opposite of what we're seeing this year, where you get played a lot of talented teams and play a lot of quote-unquote money games, may not do so well in terms of that, and then you turn around and get it done. What does Lennon have to say? What's up, fellas? My Norfolk State University Spartans are not looking too good in the MEAC so far. We may have a new MEAC champion this year. Yeah, the Norfolk State's struggling a little bit, but if I know anything about your coach and the players there, they'll probably at least be in the mix. So give him a little time. He's so spoiled that if he don't beat folks by 20, something wrong, and that's both on the men's and women's side.
Better hope they on the other side of the bracket from you.
Hey, Drew he's not giving them any love this early. WSS Ram says what? Wonder if the MEAC was scared of Cleo at Winston-Salem State University. Yeah, he's doing his thing at Maryland Eastern Shore. Very good point there in terms of what that looks like. Shout out to the MEAC being at the top of the poll. It looks like the SWAC is quite deep, but credit to the MEAC getting it done. Let's take our last break. But before we do that, let me give you some updated scores. Before we take another break, it is Maryland Eastern Shore 50, Coppin State 47 with 7:07 left in the fourth quarter. In terms of the SWAC, see what's going on in the SWAC. You have just the start of the third quarter, and you have Pine Bluff now leading Bethune-Cookman 34-33, 8:26 left in the third quarter. You have Prairie View down 24-12 on the road with 1:31 left in the second quarter just before half. And you have Texas Southern up on Jackson State 23-17 with 4:32 left in the second quarter. Again, we do have a FAMU at Valley. That game has not tipped off. It will tip off right near the end of the show at 7 o'clock. We'll see if we can sneak something in for you there. If not, but let's take this next break. We'll come back on the other side and see what that looks like.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131. Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
It's the 37th Annual Zora Festival. It's in Eatonville, Florida, Saturday, January 31st and February the 1st. On Saturday, the all-white party tribute to Frankie Beverly with May's guitarist Jubu. Bread. Sunset. And Taisha Williams. And on Sunday, the Line Dance Party Live with Jeter Jones. Mike Clark Jr. And Boss Lady Coco. Tickets available at zorafestival.org.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, because he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We were supposed to have Coach Andre Payne. Hadn't been able to check out the score to see if he's in overtime, but we'll see if we can catch him next week to give us some updates. I hope they didn't make him mad out there where he didn't want to get on the screen and talk a little bit about his team and the HBCU AC. But with that being said, we're going to move forward and continue to give you some updates. I really want to talk about on the men's side. What are some key games that these gentlemen are looking forward this week? In fact, let's jump right into it and see what they think about these matchups. Let me provide them, and we'll go across the board. Let's start in the SWAC first and see what you think. We'll do the Saturday and Monday games, so you're able to pull tell me between the two, which one you're looking at as that look at. Texas Southern at Alcorn State. You have Prairie View at Jackson State. Southern at Grambling. Bethune-Cookman at Mississippi Valley State. Florida A&M at Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's SWAC. And as you know, on Monday, it flips. So you have Alabama A&M and Alabama State. That's the rivalry game. They shift that from Saturday to a Monday for the Dr. Martin Luther King holiday. You have Bethune-Cookman at Pine Bluff. You have FAMU at Mississippi Valley. Texas Southern at Jackson State. Prairie View at Alcorn. You do have the rivalry game on Saturday between Southern and Grambling that I mentioned. Between that, Charles, what games out of the SWAC have your interest this week?
I mentioned the top two scorers with regards to Terry and Joseph and Deshaun Ruffin. That's a Saturday night game, Prairie View and Jackson State. But obviously, the rivalry game with Southern Grambling. But I think Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman going on the road this weekend, going to play in Arkansas Pine Bluff. I think those are going to be some really good games. I would have put Valley in there, but I understand they could be shorthanded with regards to personnel this weekend. So I'm going to go with the Florida teams going to Pine Bluff this weekend.
Good stuff. AD Drew, what's on your mind out of the SWAC in terms of Saturday or Monday? What games have your interest?
Well, anytime you put Alabama A&M and Alabama State together in anything athletically, that's going to pique my interest, especially when you consider both teams are 2-2 going into Monday's game. So, and they're the only set of teams that do not play on Saturday, as they have traditionally played that game on Monday, on King Day. So,
and it's in Mobile.
Yes, it is in Mobile. They moved.
I didn't see that part of it. I know it's been in Birmingham in some years.
Right.
That game, a lot of years, that game gets moved off campus. So, but like I say, anytime that those two teams play together, it definitely has to pique your interest. So I'll start right there. While Charles, you are focusing on the games against Valley, I'm focusing on the games against Arkansas Pine Bluff, because the two Florida teams are chasing Arkansas Pine Bluff. So definitely going to focus on both games that UAPB is facing this weekend also. And then last but not least, can Texas Southern get off the schneid, y'all? You know, that's going to be the other thing that I want to see. And when will that light bulb get turned on for Coach Johnny Jones' coach team? So, because we sit here and wait, just like when we talk about the MEAC, you always wait on Central. When is the light bulb gonna get turned on? When they gonna flip the switch? Texas Southern is that team in the SWAC.
Good points. Good points. Let me do this. Let me go into the MEAC. Give you some updates there. But I'm like both of you all, I do have a major interest. It's a chance we kind of set up the matchup between Prairie View and Pine Bluff to see what that looks like. We have another chance now in some teams that are ascending, playing each other, and one of them gets a chance to have an early edge, maybe to kind of stick the nose out a little bit to say where they are when you talk about that Pine Bluff, particularly the FAMU matchup. Obviously, Bethune-Cookman, a lot of people expect, so they got to go on the road and find a way to as the old rule says, split. Can they find a way to maybe get two is the other thing you look for to make a statement. Turning the page in terms of the MEAC. Let's do with Saturday first. That's Howard at North Carolina Central, Norfolk State at South Carolina State, Morgan State at Delaware, Coppin State at Maryland Eastern Shore. That's your Saturday contest. And then Monday, MLK, you have the Morehouse Howard. Always a fun one, MLK Day Classic, as you all know. And you have another, what we'd call mid-major, major division matchup. You have Elizabeth City at Norfolk State, which is intriguing. I'm going to start with you, AD Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of the MEAC, in terms of these particular matchups?
Outside of playing Captain Obvious for Monday with the Morehouse Howard matchup, but I am going to say with the Bison, with them in the matchup against the Eagles on Saturday. I think of all the Saturday matchups, that is the one that intrigues me. You know, how we're the team we have a lot of expectations for coming into this season, and then the blue blood of the MEAC, North Carolina Central, who happens to be in first place, where we typically see them at. You know, that's the one of those four matchups that really intrigues me the most for Saturday.
Yeah, I can see that. That's one I'll certainly have my eyes on. Charles, what about you?
Obviously, Howard, North Carolina Central. That's the one that jumps out. But and Lennon, you know, he talked about his Norfolk State Spartans. They take a trip down to South Carolina State, so that one is piquing my interest because, as mentioned, they're 1-2 in conference play. South Carolina State 2-1 in conference play. Let's see if that. You mentioned that light bulb flipping on. Let's see if it starts to flip on for Norfolk State here.
Let's look at the Independents. Let me give you some score updates because you know the Independents on the men's side, they play Thursday, Saturday. That's out of the Coastal. CAA, I still oftentimes call them the Colonial, but I'll be nice today. And then you have the OVC as well. Currently, you have North Carolina A&T on the road at William and Mary. They trail by 2 at half, 42-40. You do not have a Hampton game scheduled for today, nor do you have either A&T or Hampton scheduled for Saturday. Let's go into OVC, see if they've tipped off there for Tennessee State. We told you that the women were able to get a win earlier today. In terms of the men's side of things, let's see what that is looking like for them. They have Morehead. That has not tipped off. Actually, it does not tip off to 7:30, so we'll be off. That is an ESPN Plus game. Tennessee State comes in at 10-6. Morehead comes in at 8-9 in terms of the standings. To give you a little more clarification, a good matchup here. Both teams are tied at 4-2. One game behind UT Martin. And there's several teams glutted up with 4-2, but Tennessee State at 4-2 versus Morehead State at 4-2 should be interesting to see that particular matchup. Probably a pretty easy one there. Any thoughts in terms of Tennessee State as they played well non-conference wise for the most part? Really started off the season pretty solid. They did stump their foot in that matchup against Eastern Illinois for a loss in conference play, which pushed them to 4-2. Any thoughts from you, AD Drew, in terms of Tennessee State, their chances in the OVC?
I mean, I always think they have a good chance, but what's interesting to me, they're already 6 games with their 7th game in conference, and we're in the second week of January, and we're just getting started in the SWAC and the MEAC. So, you know, is playing those conference games early give Tennessee State a better runway and better opportunity to do things? Because I believe they still play the same amount of games, 18 games in that conference, if I remember correctly. But they got a couple of games in early before the holiday break. So it's just fascinating to see that they're that deep into the schedule already.
Yeah. And what's interesting with Tennessee State, 6 of their next 8 games are in Nashville. So a huge opportunity for them to make hay over there in the OVC right there at 4-2.
Actually, I think they played more than the 18, and that's probably why they kick it off early.
Okay.
In terms of their matchups, they start back in December, which is some of the discussion we talked about that the commissioner, Charles, when he was talking about SWAC TV, he was in on a halftime game over there at Alabama A&M this past week and got a chance to look that in. And he says that there is a group of committee that is focusing on what they should do for basketball. One of the big questions is postseason in terms of what that looks like. Should they continue to invite all 12 teams or should they change that? And then my surprise, they talk a little about scheduling. Should they stay at the 18 games? Should they increase the number of games, start early in terms of seats? So it'd be fascinating to see what that talks like that. I want to ask both of y'all your thoughts on that. But before I do that, Charles, your comments on Tennessee State.
No, I was saying that this is a huge opportunity for Tennessee State, especially looking at where they are in conference. 6 of their next 8 games are being played on campus, so they have a huge opportunity to kind of, kick it in gear here during this next stretch of games. So it'll be very interesting to see what Tennessee State can do, especially playing at home.
Yeah, it looks like they played some 21 conference games. I might count it pretty quick there, but they start back in December of 18. They play 2 games, 18-20. Then they take off, obviously, a break, and they come back end of the month, 12-30, right before that Saturday start the Thursday games off pretty much when SWAC. And that's how you get those extra 2 games in there, to your point, Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of scheduling at the Division I level? Do you like this idea where you see the Big Ten playing a lot more of the games? Some other conferences are talking about that. We saw that for a minute in the Pac-12 before it disintegrated, or I should say this new form of the Pac-12. Where are you in terms of the number of conference games? Obviously, SIAC plays quite a few conference games. Give us some insight. And Charles, I want to find your perspective, particularly from a SWAC perspective.
For me, well, first of all, let me back up. Starting next year, I believe the number is 32 games that you could play on the Division I level, where all games count. No longer do you have you can still earmark them as exhibitions as far as whether they count against your record or not, but all that you can play one game every 4 years, or you got to play multi-team events and all that stuff. All that stuff's out the window beginning next year, which allows a lot more schedule flexibility when it comes to these things. Now, Dr. Cavill, as far as starting games in December, it only makes sense to me if we start these games when we have people on campus. That means you have to play last week of November, first week of December, get 2 to 4 conference games out the way during that time. That still allows you from mid-December until first week of January to pick up a couple more conference games, Christmas tournaments and stuff like that. Let's get away from rival games on the first Saturday in January, which under this format you have a little bit more freedom with that. Then especially when you look at next year and the year after that, y'all realize New Year's is going to be on Friday in 27, and on a Saturday in 28. So let's get away from that first weekend. At least these next 2-3 years, let's get away from that weekend and push schedule. Get a couple of games out the way early, 2 to 4 games. Stay away from that New Year's weekend and start up. You can start midweek. You can start on the Saturday. That we'll lead it up to the schedule makers. But move those rival games to King weekend and President's Day weekend. That way you can get the alumni engagement for those rival games.
You unpacked quite a bit there. 2 things that he kind of looked at, Charles. Obviously, you can focus on those or some other things, but just for those following, he talked about not only moving it up, but moving it up enough where you make sure that you play those games while students are still on campus. So that is certainly at least a week, 2 weeks before Christmas, in regards to making sure you're outside of finals. Or the other thing he talked about, which I know a lot of folks have some headaches with, is making sure you play those rivalry games in such a way where they fall on Saturdays, and also make sure they fall outside playing them to open up things for some teams. So I'm interested in your thoughts there, what that looks like.
I'm interested if coaches would actually want to do it, because one of the things, especially when you speak to them in December, is we're still gelling, we're still figuring out lineups, we're still going through the ruminations of, who are the best 5 on the court, and you add, you start conference play. Well, you better have all that stuff figured out. You know, in terms of getting into conference play.
Charles, get your head beat in for $500,000, or you really figured out what your best five on the court is anyway.
At least that's what they say. I know one time it used to be interesting because you had the old transfer component where you would have a player come in the fall, but that's a little changed a little bit with the transfer portal to some degree. And then the other thing is taken away from the number of money games they play, which is always a question. You have some folks that are not want to play so many money games in terms of coaches anyway. You have some that live off the money games in terms of being able to balance their budget. So it'll be interesting to see what they put on the table. I really like that. The other one I'll add out here before we close and get your final thoughts on this. How about saving one of those holidays when you split between whether it's MLK or President's Day and Black History Month? What about the cross-conference matchup? Could you save one of those weekends to have some MEAC versus SWAC, or even sneak in a Tennessee State, Hampton A&T on some key matchups to break it up that way? What are your thoughts, Charles, from that perspective? And then I'll come to you, AD Drew, for your final thoughts.
Say the last part again, Doc.
What about having one of those weekends? You know, he talked about putting the rivalry weekends, which I think in a lot of ways is brilliant. He talked about putting rivalry weekend on the holiday weekend, so you get that extra day, maybe get a little more travel, get a lot of people to kind of celebrate the entire component of it. We see Morehouse, Miles, and Tuskegee, Morehouse, and Clark Atlanta do that.
SIAC actually does it.
They do it, and it's paid some dividends in terms of big crowds, big matchups.
Absolutely.
But I was saying not even add that, maybe save one for rivalry early, whether it's MLK or in February for President Weekend. Use one of them for the rivalry, but use the other one to have the inter-conference matchups between the MEAC. Get some MEAC teams to come in and play some SWAC teams and send some of the SWAC teams to the MEAC in terms of maybe doing one of the weekends there, maybe doing MLK for that and doing the President's Day weekend for the rivalry game.
A little in-season tournament action, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be pretty fun.
I think it'd be interesting in terms of finding a way to focus on basketball earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That's another reason to do it. That's why I love what SIAC do. It puts the energy because you're pretty much out of football other than maybe the pro games. Stuff as you get deeper in the playoffs, you have less people focused, 1 or 2 games. You do that, but you also get a chance to lather up that HBCU spirit, find a way to focus, and then some opportunities to financially have some windfall in terms of some additional television interest. So I'm intrigued about that. With that being said, let's get back into it and close things out and put some thoughts on people's mind and see where they would go and see, get some talk out about the scheduling quirks of the season and how much goes into it, figuring that out. But I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and friends. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington. Let me give you some updates. Coppin State has found a way to tie the game up with Maryland Eastern Shore. It's 61-61 at the end of the 4th. So we look like we got some free basketball in the MEAC. Let's give you some updates in terms of the SWAC. In the SWAC, we have Bethune-Cookman trailing big time now to Arkansas Pine Bluff as they kind of run away 55-41 with 10 minutes left in the 4th. Will the Golden Lions find a way to hide from the Wildcats? It looks like Alcorn State trying to take their ball and hide from the Panthers of Prairie View as they are up 28-12 and with 9:12 left in the 3rd quarter. Texas Southern is a pretty commanding lead against Jackson State at halftime, 36-24, to give you some updates in terms of what that looks like. With that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, as you know. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil. Created the lab that I'll be checking out the work where I have my wall TV. Well, I'll be able to have 4 of the games on and then put it on one set to bring them all together. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. Might show out a little bit this weekend. We'll see what that has in store. So stay in touch as Cavill's trying to elevate. Make sure I get it from a different perspective. With that being said, we look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, as Thread, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil, as I said. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on YouTube, on Facebook, I should say. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube, as you know. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Dismissed.